Hey, Tim Rogers here for Dodgers 2080. Um, Talking about some of the things that happened yesterday with the Dodgers. Obviously, a tough one, losing Corey Seager and Max Scherzer. Um, so the question will be, how do you replace them? And we'll talk about that. But first and foremost, let's talk about the two guys that have left. Um, they both got really good money. Got to take that money. It's okay. Kind of sucks for us, but Seager just got a contract I didn't expect. I expected 7 to 8 years at 250 million. He got what, 10 years, 325 million, plus you factor in the taxes, and it's like another 20 plus 25 million into that. So that's a lot of money for him to turn down. So he took it. The Dodgers could have matched it. They have the money to do it. I guess they made a calculated decision not to. I would have preferred they kept him even with those dollars. And then with Max Scherzer again, 3 years, 130 million. That's over 43 million a year. For a 37-year-old guy. Again, I'd have loved to have seen him back. I don't. It's not my money, so I kind of don't care. But that's a guy that I would have loved to have back. But just that's the Mets way over. They went pretty high, obviously very high for him, and good for them. By the way, I'm just keeping a glance at Twitter just to see anything that's happening. John Heyman just said that many NL teams are in on Nelson Cruz. Because they're feeling that the DH is coming. That wouldn't surprise me. The Dodgers allegedly were in on him last year. That they were. That's all I can give you. So let's see if they do that again this year. I don't know. To me, it doesn't make sense. I like to leave that spot open for someone else, and so we'll talk about some guys in a second. But with losing Seager, definitely a favorite of the family, and hate losing him. I have a lot of his gear. I have not, even though we got the new digs here, I don't have my walls decorated yet. I'm not sure what to put up yet of my Dodger stuff. So I'll still Seager's and always a Dodger. But I got to figure out what to put in the background. And then we'll miss him a lot. Definitely a guy that we followed since the beginning. And Scherzer, that guy was exciting. I went to his debut against the bad guys, watching him strike out 10 batters and just dominated out there. And then I also saw him, with his 3,000th strikeout. I purposely went up there for that. I was late even for a for a travel ball game, but you know what? You do what you got to do. And the reason it turned out to be late. I had plenty of time to leave because the Padres struck out really quick. Scherzer, had a perfect game, and you don't leave a perfect game. I told my players that if you ever have a chance to watch a perfect game, you don't leave, no matter what. You can always get forgiveness later for those things. So we didn't get that perfect game. It's a bummer, but and Max did. He can't do what he used to do. We saw that in the playoffs as he wore out. Then again, so did everyone else. I think the starters were mishandled. It was obvious. The results kind of showed that. But now we move on. So with Seager, to replace him, the obvious one is Trey Turner. I expect Trey Turner to be at shortstop. He is a better defensive player. He also seems a little bit healthier, or actually quite a bit healthier, even though he does get nicked up. But he's a much better defensive player. The offense is it's a different thing. Turner brings, he definitely has some power, and he's got a lot of speed. There's no one, too much. I don't think there's anyone really faster than him. It's got to be close if there is someone faster, but he's really fast. He hits for a high average, gets on base and everything like that. I just like watching Seager swing, but Trey Turner's fun to watch also, in a different way. He's a very exciting player, and um, he will be an excellent fill-in for Seager. What gets missed though is the bat, the left-handed bat. So how do you replace that? And it looks like Max Muncy might be out quite a long time. So that's not good. Or it could be. Could be through the All-Star break, could be longer, could be shorter. But I think you have to strike now and get a left-handed bat. And so the obvious one that everyone wants is Freddie Freeman. Yeah, I'd love Freddie Freeman. Bring him on. That's not happening. I don't. I mean, it would be a miracle if Freddie Freeman signs with the Dodgers. I will do some type of a giveaway, something pretty darn good. And I'd love to do that. I'd love to have Freddie Freeman on the Dodgers. I don't see that happening. So my alternative is Kyle Schwarber. With DH does seem to be coming, and Schwarber is a classic DH type guy, but he can play a decent left field. He's made himself into a decent left fielder. I think he can make himself into a decent first baseman. With Muncy shifting over to second sometimes, or you got the DH. I know JT should get some DH time. So I'd like to see him go aggressive after Schwarber. The guy puts up some good numbers. He takes his walks. He can work a count, and there's definitely a lot of power there. And so someone compared him to Jock Peterson. I think he's a better player, better hitter at least. Jock, I think, is a little bit better defensively. That doesn't say a ton. But, last year I would have said, oh, Jock's a better value than Schwarber. But, Schwarber put up some serious numbers. And, to be honest, Jock really wasn't starting a lot with the Braves. I mean, I know he does some great things in October. He was silent in the World Series. But, yeah, I'll take Schwarber. If the Dodgers did sign Jock Peterson, I think he is a free agent. I'd take him too. But they need to build that depth back up, because that's losing Seager. You go, well, we shift Turner to Trey Turner, not Justin. Trey Turner to short, and then Gavin Lux plays second. Cool, but now our depth is less. So you look at the team and you go, well, who's our real backup infielders? Right now, Chris Taylor is not a Dodger yet. Let's hope he becomes one that helps fill a lot of things. But the other options last year didn't work out very well. I'm not going to call out any names, but the defense wasn't there. The bat wasn't there, and that's why a lot of those guys ended up back in AAA and not on the playoff roster. Matt Beatty. Jeez Louise. Matt Beatty. Where am I at? Matt Beatty does provide some bat insurance. He's a definite possibility to get more at bats. It just seems that I don't know. It just seems that the Dodgers don't favor him that much. And he had some opportunities in the playoffs, and he didn't take advantage of them either, which is I was a little surprised at. I like his bat, and with the DH coming, I think there's a possibility of him. Being productive. Let's see. So that's talking about that, and Scherzer to replace him. That's a tough one. Marcus Stroman's out there. He's also out there kind of running his Twitter mouth, and I think he's not making any friends out there. I think it's a huge mistake for him to be going. He's getting a little much out there. We saw what happened last year with somebody who was overly aggressive on Twitter. I'm not comparing them to what the actions they may take as human beings, but it's just I'm a believer in being a little bit humble, and let your productivity sell. I don't think you need to be on Twitter as a player pushing your agenda and selling like that, and then it seems like there's just some behavior that lesson learned. And speaking of that other guy, with the Ozuna lack of suspension, only 20 games for what it sounds like was a terrible domestic violence the charges were brutal. I know he negotiated him down, and his wife didn't want to press charges. Um, but to get only 20 games is insane. Um, and I think that we've seen like that Roberto Ozuna getting, I think, 75 games. Even our own guy Julio Urias getting 20 for something that allegedly wasn't, quote, that big a deal. Now it's always a big deal when there's domestic violence, but I'm just doing a little comparison. This guy, strangled caught strangling his wife by the police, and so I don't know what the story is in that. But that brings up, the other guy, the redacted one. I the Dodgers might already have it in place that they already know that he's going to be on the team. I don't know. Maybe he's a starter. They did sign Andrew Heaney. He does not replace Max Scherzer. He's a number 4 or 5 or a swingman. The Dodgers do have David Price, but I see him more as a bullpen guy. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We got out there. Well, my man Sal. Yeah, I think that's the case. I think the redacted one does pitch for the Dodgers in 2022. I think he starts the season with them. This is a prediction. This is not a want. I'm not, I'm just stating what I think, not what I want. What I really wanted was to keep Scherzer and find a way to get rid of that other guy. But he might be with the Dodgers in 2022. And the Dodgers have to figure that one out and how they want to do that if the guy is not suspended for very long. What do you do? Do you let him play? Do you release him? Do you try to trade him to a team that would like him, like the Astros, because they seem to attract those types? I don't know. It's there's that moral dilemma. Personally, I don't know what he did, other than what we've the things that have leaked out. I don't know. I'll it's not my job to judge, but I know that I wouldn't be a fan of him coming back on the team. I think it taints the team a bit. And I thought he was a good signing. I was originally kind of like, oh, maybe. But when they signed him, I thought it was a good thing. But obviously, it didn't work out, and it impacted the team the whole year. Once he got his admin suspension, that impacted the team. It impacted them making that trade and trading, some really good prospects for Scherzer, and of course we got Trey Turner. So, and I'd make that trade any day of the week. You don't know what's going to happen. I think it was a really good bet. Just didn't work out. I think, again, some mismanagement there. But, so there's Stroman. I'm glad Robbie Ray is not the guy. I'm not a Robbie Ray or Kevin Gausman fan. Not that I don't think they're good people or anything like that. I just don't believe in their stuff. In terms of numbers after the sticky stuff for Gausman, and then for Ray, anytime he's been on the big stage, he has not done well. He was on the mound against the Yankees at the end of the year, where the Blue Jays were, a game back and or close to it. They were right there, them and the Yankees battling for that wild card spot. And he just, was terrible. And his playoff performance in 2017, I just don't think, I think Seattle's a perfect place for him. I think he's going to do just fine. What's his name? Kikuchi, the guy with the that was with the Mariners. He might be a possibility for the Dodgers. Let's see. I gotta get the old man glasses on for a second. Oh yeah, let's hope so. I think the question is: are there any prospects you see making their debut this year? I think we're going to see Jacob Amaya at some point. I think that he is the numbers don't look good, but the bat did start coming around at the end of the year. He revamped his swing. Defensively, he's elite. I think he somehow, someone goes, let's say just Trey Turner goes down. I think he's the guy, unless they sign Taylor, re-sign Taylor, or if you want to pronounce it, the spelling that a lot of people do, resign Taylor. It's RE-SIGN, not the other one. And there's always, some of the pitching that's out there. I think, Michael Grove was added to the 40-man. I'm not sure he's going to be ready for his debut. James Outman's getting closer. If I look at both Eddie's Leonard and Jorbit Vivas, both those guys are just high single A. So I think I'd go. There's always other guys on the roster or in the depth of the system that are out there that didn't make the 40-man, and all of a sudden they start showing up. So there could be some players like that. I'll have to look into that a little further. I think that's a really interesting question, though. The depth is there for pitching. Andre Jackson is the guy that I look at as the main depth. I think Mitchell White could be. I still think, for some reason, he's a long-term reliever. He's had a lot of health issues, but this year he's pretty healthy, and he did have that one really, really good outing against the Pirates where they had an opener for him, and then he went like 7+ shutout innings, and so there's you got to leave a little room for some of these guys. But in general, a lot of the guys that we counted on from AAA last year, they didn't pan out at all. There's some exceptions, but it wasn't as expected when they said, "Hey, we're not gonna be able to keep Jock, and we're not gonna be able to keep Kike." But this person and that player, they're gonna be able to fill the job, and they didn't. That's why I think you have to get Chris Taylor back. You guarantee him 500+ plate appearances, which he'll get. He's just going to get that all around the diamond, and then you go from there. And then you try to find someone else. I think eventually it's Vivas or Leonard that becomes those guys that can play all over the field, and I like them a lot. I saw them both in action, and they're very impressive. And both were at Rancho, and then they both got promoted up to Great Lakes. But they'll start the season probably in AA with Tulsa, so that's a ways away. Outman should be in AAA. Amaya will be in AAA. Grove, he should. He was in Tulsa last year, and then let's don't forget some of the big prospects like the Ryan Pepios and the Bobby Millers and Landon Nax and and the rest. Those guys are coming. I just don't know about 2022, but they're pretty nasty. So that's about all I really have right now. Just got moved into our new place here in Escondido, so I'm still SD Dodger because I'm in San Diego County. The hat is my Hawks hat, the team that I coach. It's our first tournament this weekend, so I'm wearing this in honor of my boys, the 12U Hawks white team, playing in Poway. So hey, Poway National place, come on down and watch. But I doubt you'll be able to make it. And then that's about it for now. I'll get some pictures up soon, and hit me up later and with questions. I really appreciate people coming and listening. And so let's have let's see. All right, thanks, man. You too, Sal. You have a great day. All right, everybody. God bless, and go Dodgers.